All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Simply Cyber Live. It is Thursday, which means we're going to get after it with an industry expert guest, and not the overlay I want. That's the one I want. Guys, if you're coming over from Outpost Gray's stream, hashtag Outpost Gray. Love the work that Jax is doing over there. Thank you for coming in. We've got a great show. So now listen, many of us, actually all of us at some point didn't work in the industry, and some of us are still looking on how to crack that code. Well, today's guest, I'm very, very happy. Many of you may recognize him. It's Mike Miller. Now, Mike is been working in the industry for 25 plus years. He actually has a really interesting kind of career arc that I really want to dig into because it's a bit unusual and a bit uncommon. But he's reached the point in his career where he has the knowledge. He's gone up and down the mountain several times so he can help Sherpa you and others up the mountain for the first time and really break into cybersecurity. It's going to be a wonderful talk. I can't wait. You guys know that this is a topic that I'm particularly very passionate about, and Mike is as well. We got to talk a little bit before the stream. He's very excited, and we've got a lot of great content. Before I get into it, if you're new here, I just want to remind you that we are a lively, engaging bunch, so don't be shy. Say what's up in chat. Definitely engage, but if you have questions for myself or for Mike on stream, I'd love to facilitate and get those in front of Mike. But I need to know they're for me. You guys chat, you guys have a rowdy time all by yourself over there. So if it's for me or for Mike, definitely put a Q in front of the message and I can flag it fairly easily and be able to get it in front of Mike. All right, now that we've got that all squared away, let's go get Mike super excited. What's up, Mike? Sorry,
Hey,
I'm working a new mouse over here, and it's a little dicey. It's a little sensitive, if you will. So, but thanks for being with us, Mike. How are you today?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm very good, minus
Thanks
that
for having me.
mouse snafu. Yeah, absolutely. So Mike, before we dive into cybersecurity, okay, many people who are in stream definitely recognize you. I recognize you. One of the hallmarks, if you will, about Mike Miller is that he's always got what seems to be like a very candid photo attached to all of his LinkedIn posts. Who is taking these pictures? Every time I see it, I'm like, that's not a selfie. Like it's too
I'm
far
telling
away.
you, it is just an iPhone. Now, I got to give some credit to my wife. She thinks I'm crazy sometimes, but we'll go to take a picture and she'll say no, that's not going to work. So she'll get a different angle or whatever. So it's a mix of just the phone and her taking the picture. So
Oh,
it's
all
fun.
right, all right. Well, they look great. They're very iconic. Obviously, the iPhone has an amazing camera, and you're maximizing it to its fullest extent. So good on you, Mike. Now,
Thank you.
let's just dive in right now because I know people are wondering about breaking into cybersecurity. So, kind of to understand where your perspective is, I'd like to take a few minutes and kind of talk about your journey. Now, one interesting thing that I noted when I look at Mike's career path is that Mike is a vCISO, so he's at, kind of the top of the food chain in the information security org chart. But one of the really peculiar things is if you look back, he was a network guy, then he was a pen tester, offensive security for quite a while, did wireless hacking, web app hacking, PCI related hacking and stuff. Red team operators almost never become CISOs. And I'm probably going to get blasted for that overreaching statement, but it's so uncommon. Mike, how did you go from red team to CISO?
Yeah, no problem. So, I mean, I'll back up a little bit just so you can understand the journey. So,
Mm-hmm.
when I started in desktop support, right, I started with a dial-up ISP, dial-up internet provider, reading out of a book. I had no clue what I was doing, and slowly over time, I tried to learn so I could not have to use the book. Got in,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, got into systems admin work, got into network admin, things like that, and from there. I just started consulting. I'm an extreme extrovert. I like just being around people and working with people. I like solving problems and so on. And one of my best friends actually got me into security. I'm like, what's this security thing? And he got me into doing defensive security, intrusion detection, doing things like that, working as a SOC analyst. Then I did that for a while, and then I jumped over to red team, like you mentioned, And so the CISO thing was kind of an accident. So to explain, even after doing the red team work, I did over my career. I've done a lot of contracts, right, with different organizations,
Hmm.
and I did a few contracts. Got into auditing, specifically PCI. I actually had worked with the QSA company for a while and did some QSA auditing, and I was one of those guys that like I, I moved around a bit just because I would get bored easy, doing different things. And I had some messages come to my inbox on LinkedIn. That's where all of my opportunities come from at this point, even, back a few years. And I would look at these messages, and they would send me their job descriptions. Like, I mean, we've all had those, and I'll go through them, and they'll say, "Hey, we'd like to contract you for this vCISO role." Well, immediately, I'm thinking, well, are you talking to? There's a lot, like you said earlier, there's a lot of Mike Millers. You got to be talking to the wrong Mike Miller, because I don't have vCISO in my title. And but I had a conversation with one of these people that wanted me to take a look at their job. And as we were reading down through the list of what they were requiring, it was really just an overall knowledge of of industry standards and how the industry worked, right? And understanding how an organization does business, understanding the business risk, and then understanding how to align their security posture to help protect their business. And over time, I started understanding some of those things. So I took a role as a vCISO, and of course, immediately suffered from imposter syndrome,
Hmm.
which still have to this day. I have even doing this call, and so that's kind of been my journey. And I've done all kinds of contracts since then. I founded my own company in 2010 or 11, somewhere around there, and so I did a lot of these different contracts, defense, offense, and so on. And then I sold my company here in February, Valentine's Day this past year, and so now I work in a full time vCISO role with a smaller company called Appalachia Technologies. So loving it.
Oh yeah, that is fantastic. And you said a bunch of things there that, I think really key in a lot with people. One being imposter syndrome. Um, I feel like anytime you take the next step, like moving laterally, you've already got that confidence. Taking the next step, there's a little bit of uncertainty, which is where that imposter syndrome typically
Yeah.
is found and rooted in. What are your approaches for kind of moderating or handling imposter syndrome?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love talking about it. It still scares me to death. The thing is, I try to. I think I'm slowly finding a way to leverage it, right? Because I still feel like I have a long ways in my career. I still feel like I'm growing because I put myself up against other vCISOs. I'm like, I'm here, right? But other vCISOs that I talk to, and they speak a different language. They're I'm here and they're way up here. So it definitely gives me that. But what I try to do is leverage imposter syndrome as much as I can, so that when I go into if I have to walk in and talk to stakeholders, or I have to, work a specific project, I try to prepare as much as I can because of my imposter syndrome, so that I'm ready to go when that time comes. So I think if a person leverages it, and I think it can be used to your advantage. I really think it's a healthy mix for all of us, because I think if we ever reach a point where we're not suffering from a little bit of imposter syndrome, I think that's when you need to worry.
Yeah, so you bring in a really nice transition here. One of the topics that I wanted to touch on, because I think it is so important, not just for breaking into the industry, but continuing to be successful in the industry. And anytime I read one of your LinkedIn posts, which is how a lot of people know you, because your LinkedIn posts get major traction, a lot of eyes, is there is a real sense of humility and you know, realization, like a lack of arrogance, a lack of hubris in all of your posts. You're very approachable. You're very relatable, and I believe that might have something to do with this imposter syndrome. You're not arrogant about your skill set because you're a little unsure about it. Um, how do you think having humility and self awareness benefits you as a practitioner, and how could other people learn from that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I try to just be me. I try to just be transparent as I could be. I to this day can't claim to be an expert in anything. So in that case, I will sit and I'll talk to anybody, and I'll talk to people that are, like, for instance, I've learned so much, just different perspectives from people that are aspiring to get into the field because they've got different views. Like, I don't look down on anybody. I don't see myself as above anybody. And you mentioned earlier, and it's actually the first I've heard it said in that way about, the VCISO position kind of being at the top of the food chain. And, I never really thought about it that way. I'm just serving a role and trying to help organizations as much as I can and enjoying my position, as much as I can. And I get into a room with these, fabulous pen testers or SOC analysts, whatever you have. And this industry is so wide that there's always so much to learn. So I just try to surround myself with people that are smarter than me. And that's just really helped a lot.
Yeah, another interesting thing you just touched on that I think really bears sharing because, when you haven't been a CISO, right? You might have a perception. Like for me, I always wanted to be a CISO, and now that I've got it, I'm like, I don't know if this is what I want, but that's a separate story. You might think that, oh, this is the top of the mountain, so that person can do everything that everyone beneath them can do. And what I'd like to share, and then I'd love your thoughts on this, Mike, is that people need to understand that the CISO is just a job in a functional multi-part system. The CISO has a role. They need to convey and get money, right? And set the strategic direction, but that's their job. Their job isn't to look at alerts and respond to incidents. It's to handle kind of the PR, or the interfacing with the business and stuff like that. Like, so basically what I'm trying to say is a CISO has a job and a set of roles. It doesn't mean that they're any better or they can do your job comprehensively. It just means they serve their part. What are your thoughts on that, Mike?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, the team I work with, they're so much better than me at everything they do. I think for me, what has probably helped me the most is just being a problem solver, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even in every aspect of life, especially in this role, there's problems, right? And my job is to help organizations. We're here, we're at A, and we need to get to B, right? But there's all kinds of stuff in between B, and my job is to help them be that problem solver, help them find solutions, and so it's just a way of, fortunately, working as a VCISO, I get to work with a lot of really cool and really smart people. So it's really knowing how and learning how and understanding how to use and leverage your resources as much as you can to accomplish getting from A to B.
Yeah, and I think that also plays into a greater part of the humility and the self-awareness that you can't do it all. And any CISO that is dismissive or degrading or condescending to reports, they're not that doesn't mean they're a good CISO. That just means that they're a bad human. So,
Absolutely.
so don't think, I guess what I want people to understand is don't think that that's the way it is and that's the way it has to be. That's not healthy. Now I do want to say really quick to chat. I see some of you in here, like, I'm sorry, Rewa Karki, like a couple people have been mentioning in some of their personal situations. I'm flagging these. They're not questions, but I want to get Mike's thoughts on them a little bit later. So just know that I will be addressing those. So stay with us.
I got to interrupt you just for a quick question because I've seen a couple times everybody's asking what socks I have on.
Yeah, so I pinned it. Let me.
All right, I got it. There you go.
Nail it. What do we got? What are these? Red with white?
Red. Yeah, they're just red with the Birkenstock. So my wife happens to be watching, and she says, I can confirm he's not wearing any, but she didn't see me sneak them on before this podcast.
Oh, very nice. And it color matches your watermelon. Are those watermelon slices?
They are.
Okay. Nailed it. Nailed it. All right. So now that we've got the sock, no, it's all good. It's all good. So one of the things you mentioned earlier is about the power of LinkedIn and how you almost exclusively use LinkedIn for your, I guess, your funnel or the way you find out about opportunities and stuff like that. So I guess, oh, geez, I'll just throw it to you. Like, why is LinkedIn so powerful? And then we'll drill into how to weaponize it.
Yeah, absolutely. In this industry, in the cybersecurity community, I can't say we're all here, but this is where most of the cybersecurity community resides, right? It is such a powerful platform, and you have access to, LinkedIn makes this a level playing field for all of us. In the real world, if LinkedIn didn't exist, I would have no way of communicating or having relationships with people that are, in all of these great positions or people that are aspiring to get into these positions. All of these people that I've met, um, I have met so many awesome people through this platform just because most of us are here, right? I
Hmm.
tend to stay away. I mean, I use Facebook and I use Instagram, but it's not very much, right? This platform is just refreshing for me, and again, this is where we reside. So it's just a level playing field for anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I myself have, made multiple relationships, network connections, shared messages and inspiration all through the LinkedIn platform. It really is a professional network, social networking site. I mean, that's what they
Absolutely.
build themselves as, and that's what it's become.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's talk about some obvious best practices, and then I want to talk about tips and tricks because I have a few. I've never really shared them on stream because it never really comes up, but there are. You said, okay, so you said LinkedIn's a level playing field, but if you know how to tweak some of the dials and stuff, you can have an advantage. So before we get into the secret sauce, let's talk about best practices. What are a couple of things that people absolutely should be doing that if they're not, they should be like, let me pause this live stream and go fix this.
Yeah. So the first thing I'll say is be you, right? So I spent so much time admiring other people on this platform. I thought, man, it'd be so cool to be like him, or it'd be so cool to be like her. And that was always a mistake. And I think it just took me a while to, and I'm still figuring it out, right? It took me a while to figure out who the heck I was and who the heck I am and kind of where I'm going. So the first thing that I'll say is like just be you, be transparent. That's what's worked for me.
Yep.
People always ask me about posting. What do I post? What do I post? And I'll always tell them you don't need to come off as an expert in anything that you're doing. Just be you. Like sometimes a good question can be excellent content. Like just be you. Try to establish who you are and your personal brand. And the other thing that I'll say as well is just be positive because there's so much negativity out there that we all are exposed to every day. We can't avoid it. And, no matter how bad you want to respond to a keyboard cowboy that's throwing a negative comment in there, at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. Like just take the high road, forget it. Guarantee the day, 12 hours later, you won't even think about it.
Absolutely. And I think a couple like set once and gain value forever. And I say this all the time though, is like your LinkedIn banner. You don't have to have one that was done by a graphic artist or something,
Yeah,
but you could. It's real estate. Whenever you post something on LinkedIn or someone looks you up for whatever reason, the very first thing they're going to see is that banner. So it's very valuable real estate that you can
absolutely.
weaponize
Yeah,
for whatever, a link to your website, to your blog, something you're interested in,
yeah,
a picture of you, like whatever, right?
yeah.
I feel like that and your photo are two things that you can easily update really quickly.
Yeah, people want to be able to make a personal be able to make a connection with you,
Yeah.
and a photo, of course. It's just a way of having that little bit of a personal connection, being a little bit of a human on LinkedIn as well. I tell people often in the about section, make your first paragraph something that's about you. I get it. We all have skills that we want to talk about and portray out there, but like tell me who you are as a person so that I can like have a little bit of a connection with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll come back to the tips and tricks. Don't worry, people.
Yeah,
But because you just said it, Mike, like when the question is, tell me about yourself, whether it's a job interview, whether it's a networking event, you're at a conference and you're getting a cup of coffee, someone's gonna say, "Oh, hey, like, hi, I'm Jerry. Who are you? Like, I'm Mike Miller." That's fine, but you have an opportunity there to make a more meaningful connection
Absolutely.
what is your guidance on tell me about yourself?
Yeah, I always say two things, right? So if you're gonna say if you're telling someone about yourself, first tell them who you are as a person. Before you go into all of your search and all of your experience, tell me about you. What do you do when you get off of LinkedIn every day? What are you gonna do tonight? You going outside to shoot hoops? Do you like walking the dogs? What are your hobbies, right? Who are you as a person? That's the first way that I'm going to connect with you. After that, now I want to know a little bit more about you. So, okay, tell me your skill set. Tell me your experience. Tell me what you're passionate about. Because if
Yeah.
I know what you're passionate about, then we can have some mega good conversations about that. And sometimes a person's experience, even though they're talking about all of the experience they have, they might not be talking about what they're passionate about because they might not have experience in the things that they're passionate about. So it's just I would say just start with those things.
Yeah, and just for chat to really drive this point home, Mike said, "Be yourself, be genuine." Because I don't know if it's like a sixth sense or if it's human nature through thousands of years of evolution. But if you're being fraudulent, people will detect it immediately, and it's a very big turnoff. Okay, so being yourself has great value, and like it just being able to tell someone a little bit about yourself, right? And really the things you're passionate about, you will unbelievably naturally convey a sense of emotion and excitement, and it will be infectious to the person you're talking to because they will want to feel it. It is a very good feeling
Yeah,
to be passionate. So I guess be yourself and really talk about what you're passionate about, because I think it's going to help you establish that relationship.
absolutely, absolutely.
So, like dialing it back to the LinkedIn tips and tricks, what are some of your, because obviously your posts get massive engagement, and I know it's because the content is awesome, but
Thank you.
there are some other tips and tricks and stuff like that. So what are some of your maybe lesser known best practices?
Yeah, try to probably the biggest thing I see when people are trying to grow their accounts is they're sharing all kinds of stuff. And sharing is great. However, nothing's going to do better for you than organic, real content that has
Mhm.
been, produced, written, by you. Um, I always recommend for people that are just getting started on a platform. And when I say just getting started, I don't mean you just got a LinkedIn account. I'm saying you're ready to like buckle up and take this thing for a ride. Create a breakout post. And what I mean by breakout post is, make a post that it's a little personal about you. It tells your story of who you are, what you struggle with, where you want to go, right? I'm talking about career goals, and ask questions about how to get there. Having a good breakout post helps, and if you are connected to and you're engaging with people even prior to making that post, reach out to them, and you'll be surprised. Like this, the cybersecurity community is crazy supportive. Like, and they'll be more than happy. I mean, I will. We're more than happy to come to your post and engage with it. So that's the one thing. Like I said, sharing is great. However, if you're trying to get some traffic to your account, you have to just be authentic and you have to create some of your own content. The other thing too is, excuse me, you have to engage with people.
Mhm.
You have to give to get back. So pick some of your favorite connections and watch for them to post, and be one of the first ones there when they post and engage. And uh, it's called a CTA, right? So when you engage with a call to action, a reason for them to comment back to you. And again, it's just creating that sense of family. I know when I post that I guarantee these certain people are going to be there every time, just because it's like when you have that family reunion. You have people that are going to come every year, right, to it, and you know who's coming, you know who isn't, and it's just a case of creating that family on here and getting that just that residual repetitive traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are great tips. I want to share a couple of mine, and you let me know
Yeah,
if you've seen that be successful or not successful. So one thing, if you're going to post original content, you should absolutely either post a picture of yourself or a picture of a graphic of some sort, some type of informational graphic, like
yeah,
a bar chart. And I know it sounds silly, but those two things are eye-catching, and people will stop and look and read more. That have you had? I know you post pictures of yourself all the time. You're extroverted. I'm not saying you have to post pictures of yourself. I'm just
Absolutely.
telling you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, having some type of visual in a post is definitely going to do, I don't know what the exact statistic is, but it will definitely produce more engagement than just posting text. And I often have the question of, well, this is LinkedIn. I can't post a picture of my dog or even a picture of myself. The purpose of this platform it is a professional platform. But as professionals, we all have to have a little bit of a personal relationship as well. So as long as it is with the end mission of, or the end goal of making that happen, it doesn't matter if it's a picture of you, a picture of corny socks that I wear,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, something that just keeps people from just scrolling past your post.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jess Bishop offered up Pexels. There's a couple websites out there, unsplash.com, pexels.com, Pixapage, I think is another one. There's several sites that have just wholesale copyright-free professional
Yeah.
photographs of people, of places, of objects, whatever, that you can totally leverage. And then you could
Yeah.
use something like Canva absolutely free to just slap some text on it.
Yeah.
I almost never post on LinkedIn without some type of graphic added to it. Almost never. Another thing that I think is important to note, if you guys are going to go ham on LinkedIn, know this, okay? And I can speak firsthand from this, Mike. I bet you have the same experience. If you post a link off of LinkedIn, if you post a link to a YouTube video, if you post a link to your blog, whatever it is, the LinkedIn algorithm will suppress that post. It punishes you because
Absolutely.
from a business perspective, they don't want guests, customers, whatever, going off platform. They want you on LinkedIn. So if you ever see my post, you'll see here's the post and then link in first comment. They do not grade on the comments because anyone can post anything, but they will grade you in the body of the thing. So,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yep,
they want you to stay on their platform, which is understandable. I mean, the goal is not to steer them off of the platform. And yeah, I mean, I almost same thing. I almost never I have posted external links, but I might get 20 views on a post versus two or 300 engagement. So I absolutely recommend against it. And I've had, trust me, I'm sure a lot of us get every day, hey, will you post this for me, and or post a
yeah,
link to my website, and in the long run it's just not going to do anybody any good.
yeah. And also, like, I wrote, I actually, while we were talking, I wrote like several of these things. I won't spend a lot of time belaboring this with y'all, but another thing that I forgot about because I've written off articles altogether. This may have changed because LinkedIn is now pushing newsletters as a
Yeah.
thing. But before newsletters, so I haven't done any new research on this, but before newsletters, articles, um, I mean, I have a pretty large network on LinkedIn, and I would get like tens of views on an article, which
Yeah.
is wildly uncommon. So for me, an article takes way more time to develop and have a meaningful quality article. And then for it to basically be like thrown in a dark alley,
I agree. Yeah.
like, why would I spend my time? Like, I'd rather
Yeah.
spend my time doing something else that is going to give more value than that. So,
Yeah, I
again,
agree. Yeah.
have you done anything with the newsletter? Just
I
this is a little
haven't.
off, but
I haven't. Every time I happen to click that creator mode button just to see what if there's anything new under it, I have that newsletter thing just staring me right in the
yeah,
eye,
yeah,
saying "use me," and it's I see it just as a distraction, I guess.
yeah.
So now, right, my main focus for the past 10 months, because it's been about 10 months since, actually almost exactly 10 months since I made my first kind of breakout posts. My goal has literally just been to go all in, focus on creating my own content for posting. And that's just kind of been, and really with no end goal in mind besides helping people. And who knows where we'll go.
Yeah. You want to take some questions from chat?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, chat. Let's do it. So Chris Weaver, you're up. Chris wants to know, do you have to think outside the box often, or is it more, what is known already in industry, apply to whatever you want? I think this was when you were kind of talking about vCISO work and, engaging in your employment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my wife hates when I say this, but I always say, crumple up the box and throw it in the recycle bin. Don't even think about the box. So again, my whole thing has just been, no matter what position I'm in, just having the ability to solve problems. And sometimes to solve problems, you have to think outside the box, right? Or pretend it's not even there. And whether it's leveraging different resources, whether it's doing something against the grain, because organizations tend to like to do things their way, right? And so it's really easy to go down that path and do it their way, when just because it's always been done that way doesn't mean that it's the right way. So my goal is to find different solutions and different ways to work out a problem that might be a little bit more efficient, and it just isn't the way it's always been done. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Chris. So another question that kind of came in, there's a couple different one in here, so I'm going to kind of bundle them together. But Riwa is asking here about, and this is like a recurring topic in our industry, is kind of like the entry level jobs that are asking for mid tier requirements. How does one get the entry level job if they can never get the experience required for the entry level job?
Yeah, good question. Here's what I'll tell you. There are companies out there. Here's what I'll say, and I've posted about this. If you look at 100 different job descriptions for entry level, every entry level job description is going to be different. The thing you have to keep in mind is 70%, in my opinion, about 70% of these job descriptions are wish lists. And when I say that, right, sometimes these job descriptions have been through so many different hands, or they've been copied from somebody else from a different department, that by the time it got to the person who's to post that description, it has nothing to do about the position, or it's just all out of whack. Requiring a CISSP for an entry level position is crazy, right? Requiring 4 years of experience for an entry level position is crazy. What I would say is, when you look at these, like I said, many of them are wish lists. And the horrible part is that people are walking away from these jobs that they could have and that they're qualified for, even if they're entry level. They're walking away thinking, well, I don't qualify, when really they do. And if you fill out that application and contact the person who might have posted that job, and they get to know you, you might find out that they might say, oh no, we don't really require the CISSP. It's preferred, but we like you. We find you have some drive and ambition, and a lot of times you can kind of overcome that. But over my career, I've applied for jobs that said they had way more requirements than what I had, and I've landed some of them just because I submitted them anyhow. And so that's one thing I would say to that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And you actually did touch on something like indirectly that I think is important. And regular members of the Simply Cyber community are going to roll their eyes because they've heard this a million times, and I'm just wasting valuable time of you speaking. But to Riwa's question, and if I'm butchering your name, I apologize, by the way, to his question and everybody else's that asks about this gap thing, networking, like you said, if you can get to the hiring manager, right? Networking is so invaluable so valuable, to the process. If people know you and know what you can do and know what you're passionate about, then when they know of opportunities, they can short circuit the hiring workflow and they can tell you, hey, this is a wish list. It doesn't matter. Hey, I can get you in front of the hiring manager. It doesn't matter. Hey, we can waive those requirements. It doesn't matter. But if you're just Johnny on the street or Julie on the street, you're not going to get that access. You're not going to have a side door. So this is why I am wicked passionate about networking and making a supportive, inclusive community. That's why Chad over here is really chatty, because I want it. I want people to engage with each other. What are your thoughts around the importance of networking?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's one thing that hasn't changed in over 100 years: word of mouth, right? 100 years ago, they would say word of mouth is the best kind of advertising. Today, guess what? Word of mouth is your best method of advertising. LinkedIn now is your word of mouth. And to give you an example of that, I am often asked by companies, they'll come to me and say, hey, Mike, we're looking for someone to fill an entry-level role. Do you know of anybody? And even though I don't don't personally know them, off of the street, I can rattle off 5 or 10 people that are entry level that want to become SOC analysts. Why? Not because I know them personally, but they show up every day. They engage with my posts, they engage with other posts. They're contributing positively to the community. Even with mid-level roles, senior level roles, they're showing up. LinkedIn, again, is that word of mouth. And by not using this platform, I sound like I work for LinkedIn. I don't really. By not using this platform, it's the same thing as going to a local networking event and sitting in the car. Like, you have this. And I tell everybody, your LinkedIn profile is really your online resume. When I was hiring, years back, I would look at two pieces. I'd get a resume, but I spend about 65 seconds on that resume. That's it. What's the next thing I do? I go to LinkedIn to see who you are, learn more about you. And, resumes don't get you hired. It's you that gets you hired. And the only way to tell who you are is to use this platform network and get to know people.
Absolutely. Now, Ronnie asked this question, and I want to make it a little more general. But basically, if you have a criminal background, whether it's drugs, whether it's, you misguided youth, whatever, maybe you stole a pool table in college, asking for a friend, how do you help, or what are your thoughts and suggestions for people who may have a little bit of a past that could impact their ability to be employed?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not. I don't think it's a showstopper, right? I think it may affect you if you're trying to go for a top secret clearance, of the highest level. It might affect you for that, but it all comes down to the role as well. There are companies out there that are trying to protect themselves, and they're willing to give anybody a chance. And I think, again, it's people just want to understand that you're a human being, and we've all made mistakes in our lives. But I will say I certainly don't think that it's a showstopper. It can be an obstacle, but don't let that steer you. I saw that comment at the beginning too, and it kind of broke my heart a little bit. But yeah, don't let it steer you in the wrong direction. Don't let it make you give up, because there are so many organizations. The demand in this field is crazier than it's ever been. And it's just, you may just have to knock on a few more doors, but you will find a way in.
Absolutely. And to the point that we just made before that, for Ronnie and for others, networking is so important. If people know who you are and know what you can do, they can look past what you did 20 years ago, because they're not hiring 20-year ago version of you. They're hiring new you. And really, honestly, again, since Mike and I operate at the same level professionally, like, we have problems that we need people to help solve. If you can solve my problem, I don't care what you did 20 years ago. Please,
you're exactly right.
Help me solve my problem today,
Yep, you're exactly right. And just like Kimberly just said in the comments, just be open and disclose that information, and that way there's no surprises.
Yeah, and we actually did a call on neurodiversity hiring and cybersecurity a couple months ago, and be transparent and disclose, but I would be very deliberate about when you do that. I wouldn't say, "Hi, I'm Mike Miller, felon." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, it takes some tactic. Yeah.
So just to qualify that piece of advice. Getting back a little bit into LinkedIn a little bit, Jessica Probst, aka Cyberkill Jane, Simply Cyber community member, asks, you are an extrovert, Mike, but you may deal with introverts from time to time. How do you help them break out of their shell?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first I'm going to take this outside of LinkedIn for a second. And I will say I have so much respect for introverts. My wife is actually an introvert. And here's what I'll tell you. We all tend to want to be sometimes the loudest one in the room, right? So I'm an extreme extrovert. I like to talk. And sometimes I get caught up, being the loudest one in the room. What happens is when you're the loudest one in the room, people tend not to listen all the time. When you're an introvert, you listen much better than I do. You listen much better than so many people do. And as you're listening, you're processing the information you're taking in, you're analyzing it. And the thing is that when you speak to make a point and to try to solve a problem. And when you speak, I tend to listen to that more than someone who just likes to be the loudest one in the room. So As far as extroverts, I would say I personally think you have a little bit of an advantage in this field because you're a lot more well thought out than I am because sometimes I just get caught up in talking. On LinkedIn, I have people that I mentor that are extreme introverts and they can still be successful. They might not be comfortable posting, but they can still engage. They can still make comments and engage with posts that they're comfortable with. But I have people that are growing on LinkedIn that don't post at all. People that I talk to, people that I mentor, their stats
Mhm.
are going nuts and they don't post anything. But they have a great profile picture, or I'm sorry, they have a great profile. Their profile is complete, right? And when people click on their profile, they can see who they are. And you don't absolutely have to post to be successful on this platform.
It is true. It is true. It helps. It does help if you do post, and there's ways to do it. I feel like from an introverted perspective, maybe you don't have to engage as much. I mean, you are behind the keyboard, right? So you're not
Yep.
having to have that, public social interaction type element. But you know, yeah, like your comment earlier about call to action, it definitely is worthwhile here. I mean, you might even be able to kind of make an introduction if you're introverted and allow someone else to do the talking,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
So, oh,
absolutely.
like, look at this post. You read an interesting post at Mike Miller. Hey, Mike, saw this post, made me think of what you said on Simply Cyber the other night. What are your thoughts? And now you've made a connection. You're a matchmaker, and Mike delivers some great content, and you're helping deliver that value just in a different way.
Exactly. Exactly. That's a great
So
question.
yeah, we have the Simply Cyber community. They're dynamite. They're always bringing the
You
heat.
guys rock. I want to come back. Yeah.
So K. Scott Powell wants to know, since we're talking about doing all this work on LinkedIn, what about burnout?
Yeah, I've been there. So I try to just turn off as often as I can. I can say I haven't. I see people all the time just kind of going away for a week or two. I haven't done that, but I've taken some long weekends. I'm when people talk about consistency posting, I will tell you I don't post. A lot of people think I post every day, but if you look closely, I don't post every day. I will take a day off here and there, sometimes 2 days off. I only post when something creative comes to mind that I think people can find value in. But as far as burnout, you do have to know how to shut the phone off. When I spend time in the evening with my wife and my family, I try to put the phone down and I try to lay it face down so that I don't get so I don't see all of the alerts and so on. But you just have to be able to kind of step back and take a break. And I will tell you, stepping away for a day or two, like I said, which I have done, will help you tremendously.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the phone, the apps, I mean, they're designed to, get your attention. Hey, play with me, look at me. There's
Yeah,
a really great documentary called The Social Dilemma on Netflix, if anyone's interested, that goes into the psychology behind all that. But to your point, again, there's a lot of points that are coming back to each other. We talked earlier about being passionate, being yourself, being, personable and stuff. And if you're burned out, because I've experienced burnout a few times in my career. Um, your passion will not be there, so the content you're making will not have that passion in it. It will convey as work. And
yeah,
if you're going to spend your time on something that isn't even going to have the value that it's supposed to, you might as well take Mike's advice and just put it on pause for a minute and
yeah,
find, either if you have to do something, find a different outlet that allows you to feel engaged, maybe do something on Discord, or write a blog post or something like that, or just throw it up for a second and take a break. I do see some people who post regularly, go out and say, like, Elin Wright, Differ Diva, many of you know her. She's great community member, information security community member. She took a break, and it was like she was posting content valuable all the
yeah,
time. And then she took a break, and it was like, oh, like I miss seeing her content or whatever. Then she came back, and nobody was like, oh, forget this. Like, you've been
yeah,
gone too long. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, the community will be there, and it will respond when you come back. So don't think you're like losing anything.
Absolutely.
I would argue. So
Something that I've done just recently, because sometimes I guess you just call it writer's block, where I don't know what to write about today, and I won't just post a post because it's 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning, right? I have to have something come to my mind to post. But something that I've tested recently that's worked extremely well is just reusing some original content. I've repurposed and reused a few of my posts from 10 months ago, and some of them have done better than they did the first time I posted. So, if you get stuck, you can always go back if you've been on this platform for a while and repurpose some content. And, you're still active, but really you're still taking a mental break because, you're not there trying to think and be creative.
yeah, that's a great point. And I would just jump on top of that and to let people know, because I've done this myself a few times. Don't think that you're being lazy by repurposing content. Something that was really valuable 10 months ago, it's been pushed under the rug of social media, right? And people today didn't see it 10 months ago. So by reposting it, you're actually doing them a service by making them aware. It was really great 10 months ago and people loved it. Let this new wave of people enjoy it and get the value just the same as they did 10 months ago. And, oh, by the way, give yourself a little bit of a break on having to generate new content. So I just want people to understand it's not being lazy. It's not being cheaper or deceptive. There is value there.
Yeah, absolutely. And think about it. If your account is growing and you use content a year from now that you posted today, probably 80% of your connections haven't seen that because they're new, a year from now.
So we're talking with Mike Miller. For those of you who just joined us, we're at 100 people, Mike, which is great numbers. We're talking to Mike Miller about basically breaking into security. The man's got the answers, okay? Or he's got some answers, Mike. We'll keep it humble here. So some more questions that came in that are really common questions that I feel really warrant further discussion is Joshua asks, what about like self-manufactured experience, home labs, right? Or cyber ranges, whatever. Maybe it doesn't come with a certificate you can drop on your account. Maybe it does. I don't know. What are your thoughts on people getting experience in an alternative way?
Here's the thing. Yeah. And I've talked about this a lot with my mentors or with my mentees, and they ask the same questions. It's all about knowledge gain. If I'm hiring, I don't care how you gained the knowledge. I don't care, whether you gained it by taking a certification, whether you gained it from Try Hack Me, or whether you built your own home labs. It's about the information. And I learned so much from the beginning of my career, building home labs and things like that. And so for me, it's never been, I think that you'll find in an interview, most people are going to ask you how you gained your knowledge. They're just going to gauge, your knowledge. So be proud of the labs that you're doing. Be proud of your progress on Try Hack Me. And no, I'm not a salesperson for them, but be proud of the progress you have on there. They have a great program. There's others out there, you as well, that have great programs out there. And so just be proud of the progress that you make, and just be transparent as well. When you're interviewing, hey, this is what I've done.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're going through some of that stuff, what a great opportunity to leverage economies of scale. Start a blog post about it. Use what you just learned as a LinkedIn post. Let people know. Like, there's no reason that every piece of content has to be a completely new piece of thought, a new thing for you, right? Anything can be like that. And I agree 100% with you. Nobody, unless you went to like MIT or UCal Berkeley, no one asks where's your degree from. Sometimes they don't even ask what's your degree in. When you have experience using Splunk or Fortinet or whatever tool you want to throw in there, the question is, well, how big the organization that you used it at, or how many logs were you looking at? Like, no one cares. Can you sit down at the terminal or the console or whatever and execute the job I need you to do?
Yeah, how can you? Yeah, exactly. I agree. How can you be of value to my organization? I don't care how you learn the skills. Can you be of value to my organization? And here's what I'll tell you. Like, I don't, through the years, probably before many of you were even in technology, I got my NT4 MCSE back in the day, and I got my Windows 2000 MCSE, and I pretty much stopped. with certifications. Later, I did get my QSA before you had to have your like your CISA or your CISM, in order to get that. I did end up getting like a GAC cert. I don't have my Security Plus. I went to a 9-month tech school that's like defunct. They went bankrupt. They don't even exist anymore. So, but at the same time, it's never been a huge roadblock. So, and I guess the reason I'm telling you that is, just seek that knowledge. Don't worry about how you're gaining that knowledge. And the cert industry is such a highly profitable industry, and you can get caught up chasing those. I saw a certification map out there not too long ago, and it's crazy. Like, it's just almost sickening, that people are just spending all of their money going and trying to grab all of these things.
Yeah, I know which one it is. I wanted to pull it up because I think it's a really awesome. It's this one right here. I know it is this one, right?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. If you haven't seen this, I'll drop it in chat. Now Mike is saying that you don't need to chase the certs, but I just want to point out this website right here. Paul Jeremy keeps it up to date, and it's interactive, and it breaks it up by experience level and functional area within it. I'll drop it in chat. But anyways, it is a good, if you need a certification to stand out, or you're just into certs or whatever, this is a really cool website.
Yeah, I've seen it, absolutely.
So we've got a couple minutes here. Guys, I want you to know, I see all your questions coming in. We're not going to be able to get to all of them. There's been a bit of a healthy discussion here that came off of Alicia Jerry's question about boot camps. I saw Eric Soberman comment, Nick Barker comment. So the community is having a conversation about this right now. So why don't you weigh in, Mike, on what you think about boot camps?
Yeah, I think boot camps are great. Again, everyone has their different way of learning. Some people learn by self-study. Some people learn better with boot camp. Some people learn better in a college environment. Again, it just I'll just answer kind of the same way of the previous discussion. It's just about that knowledge gain. So yeah, if that boot camp laid a good foundation for you, and it's your passion, the information that you're learning, boot camps do a great way of showing you a lot of different things in a short amount of time. And what you can learn from that is different tools and so on that you like. You might touch on auditing quick, you might touch on offense or defense, but you're going to find one of those, and if it's your passion, you're going to dive down that path, and you're going to eat it, breathe it, sleep it until you know it like crazy. And absolutely, at the end of a boot camp, I mean, there's people getting in the field that aren't attending anything, that don't have any certs, but they've gone through just some self-study in their own labs and get an entry-level job. So absolutely.
Yeah, I have a pretty strong opinion of boot camps. I do feel that a lot of education in our industry is freely available. You're almost partially paying for someone to curate and organize and then hold you accountable.
Yep.
Some boot camps I think are grossly overpriced and don't deliver value. I do agree with what you said, Mike, so I'm not flat out disagreeing.
No,
I do agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree that it will give you, typically a good one will give you like a taste of different areas, because that's one thing that people don't understand when they say, oh, I want to work in cybersecurity. The next question is, well, what do you want to do? Like SOC, Red, GRC, like, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know how to answer that question. So boot camp will give you that kind of buffet, but I don't think a boot camp is like keys to a job, which unfortunately
Absolutely.
There's a lot of predatory marketing practices where that's kind of how they sell the boot camp. So I guess that's part of why I love Simply Cyber. Like I try to deliver all of this content. Like, here you go. Like you don't need.
Yeah,
you don't
absolutely.
Need, yeah. So before, okay, so we're wrapping up. One thing, I'm sorry, we didn't get to, but part of the reason that I was like, oh, Mike, like, let's talk about this. You just mentioned it. You wrote a book, right? Called Break Into Cyber. I'm going to drop this link in chat. Where is it? Yeah, it's right here. Break In Playbook. You want to tell us a little bit about this project and what the deal is with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I did was, I mentor every day.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I spend my evenings talking to people, my weekends talking to people. And a few months back, I decided I'm going to just kind of throw everything in one place. So it is I believe it's 56 pages. It's a break into cyber playbook, and it's just based off of my experience, and what works now, and it's kind of a two-part guide. So the first part of it is, it talks about the industry. It talks about, like you said, offense, defense, GRC slash auditing. Talks about imposter syndrome. Talks about certifications. Talks about all of that stuff. The second part of it, when I'm mentoring, I mentor two parts: the technical path that you've got to go down, and then the self-branding path. So the whole second part of the guide is basically how to get yourself. I use the analogy of putting the garage door up, as a rock band, so that everybody else can hear you. So the second part of my guide is basically helping you put that garage door up, so you can kind of be discovered on LinkedIn for the skills that you have, or even that you are acquiring. Even though you're going down the technical path, you almost, in this field, like you said, word of mouth and networking is key. So the second part of my guide is to really teach you really a step-by-step on, like, here's what you need to do to kind of break out a little bit and get discovered, with the ultimate goal of having recruiters and hiring managers land in their inbox. So there's my sales pitch. I wasn't even expecting that.
well done. You can go back and clip it and reuse it. No, so that's good. Y'all, hey, I'm sorry, LinkedIn people. The platform that we use, I can't push comments to, unfortunately. But if you go to breakincyber.com, by the way, great URL to own.
That was my wife's idea. Yeah,
oh, really? Idea. Well,
the link's actually under my profile, because if you just click on my profile, connected,
like this profile.
Yep, scroll up, and it's just right under my name there. It'll say,
yeah, hold on. Yeah, I've got so many people DMing me, and hold on one second.
Me too. It's crazy. Yeah.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. I want you all to see this, because he made it very, very easy to get to. See your photo. This is a LinkedIn profile 3000. All right, hold on. Let's close all this out. Okay. So, all right, we're looking at Mike's profile. You can't really see it. I'm going to give you full screen action, Mike.
That's all right. Thanks.
Look, all right, so this is Mike's profile on LinkedIn. Go connect with him. He's always dropping really valuable, interesting nuggets. And you guys were here all day on the stream. You saw who he is. But here is the link right here to his playbook. You simply click it, and it takes you right here. This fantastic professional photo of old Mike with the lighting on one side and the darkness on the other. Well done. I really like that, Mike.
Thank you. My wife designed the entire website. I'm really proud.
All right. Well, I think your wife's got a marketable talent and skill set there.
I think
because
she does.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. I just had my website revamped, and you could definitely tell it looked like your wife did not make it beforehand, because it was not good. It was not good. So, all right. Now, Mike, per usual, and chat knows this, I'd love to give you an opportunity to take the stage, take the floor, whatever you want, share however message you'd like. Again, please connect with Mike on LinkedIn, Mike Miller. And Mike, I'll give you full stage, and the floor is yours, man.
Yeah, thanks. I'm not really sure what to say, but for those that there's a mix of people in this room. I know a lot of you that are already in the field, and those that are aspiring to get into the field. So the ones that are aspiring to get into the field, have confidence. There is so much demand in this field, and you will have people tell you that you have to have X, Y, and Z to get into this field. And by them telling you that, just tells you that they haven't done their homework. And for those already in the field, which, like I said, a lot of you guys and women are already here, you just pay it forward. Show these guys how much of a supportive community that we are. Engage with them. And even for those that are talking about the LinkedIn platform real quick, even for those that are very happy in their career, the pandemic showed us that nothing can be taken for granted. So even though you're happy in your job, you maybe been there 10 or 15 years, whatever, your insurance policy for employment is your LinkedIn profile. So even though you might be happy in your current position, work on your LinkedIn profile. Self-branding is so important. And that's it. I thank you guys so much for spending the time. I'm truly blessed to have everybody here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we loved having you here, Mike. I want to thank you personally for coming on here. Great messages, a lot of actionable content for everybody in chat to take away. Obviously, you got the book really to consolidate all that information so people can get it in a really easy to digest format. But Mike, I really want to thank you. I'm gonna send you off now, but appreciate it, and I want you to know that you're always welcome on Simply Cyber.
Thank you so much. Take care, everybody. See you.
All right, absolutely. All right, guys. Per usual, I just want to let everybody know about the upcoming daily cyber threat briefing. So first off, thank you all. Guys, I know we didn't get to all the questions, and there were some really, really excellent questions. I genuinely appreciate people responding to other people's questions. Nick Barker, I saw you answer that GRC question. Eric Silberman, talking about boot camps. You guys, really, really supportive and inclusive, and I genuinely appreciate it. So we got so much value from Mike today, but really so much value from each of you as well. So thank you for making this broadcast and this experience truly valuable to everybody involved. Now, before I send you guys off, I do want to remind those who are new here, because many of you already attend this, every single weekday morning, the times have changed a little bit, but tomorrow, Friday, August 26th at 8 a.m., I will be hosting a daily cyber threat briefing. I do it every single weekday morning. Tomorrow is no different. And we're going to be going through the top cybersecurity news stories of the day. It'll be about 45 minutes long. It's good for CPE credits. It's good for inclusion and support. And it's good just to know what's going on in the industry, because if you're working in the industry, you can operationalize it immediately. And if you're looking to break in, much like all the people that we talked about today and Mike is trying to help break in, you're going to get asked in an interview, how do you stay current? This is a fantastic answer. With that, guys, I want to thank each of you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. on the Simply Cyber channels. Thank you.